NBA free agency and offseason in general is going nuts. This is the best NBA offseason in history. Jaylen Brown gets traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. Kawhi Leonard gets back to the Toronto Raptors. We already had the trades of Giannis Antetokounmpo and LaMelo Ball. Walker Kessler joins Luka Doncic with the Lakers. And we're talking about all this in this episode of the program. Let us know what you think. Let's get right down to business. The Sixers are getting Jaylen Brown in a trade where they're sending Paul George and 2 first-round picks, a 2028 first-round pick and a 2031 first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks to the Boston Celtics. And this is absolutely insane, guys. This is one of the craziest trades that I could have ever imagined. And we're going to pretty much talk about perspectives from both ends of those front offices here. The Boston Celtics were trying to trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and this deal ended up not happening and Giannis going to Miami. However, we know for a fact that the relationship between the Celtics front office and Jaylen Brown was not necessarily what it used to be at that point with all those rumors. But we're hearing from Shams Charania that Jaylen Brown has never asked for a trade throughout this whole craziness that's been happening with the Boston Celtics. So I can only imagine that the reason why the Celtics end up trading Jaylen Brown, a 29-year-old Finals MVP 2 years ago, perennial All-Star, one of the most important pieces of the Boston Celtics, who led this team to a 60-win season this past season in the NBA, with a roster that a lot were considering, including myself, as a bad roster and a transition year for the Celtics. I can only imagine that the new ownership group in Boston is forcing the hands of Brad Stevens to make a trade to get rid of Jaylen Brown and get rid of his contract, because they're probably trying to maximize their profit and revenues in Boston now. That's the only explanation that I can have, and this could also be, tied to several other issues, probably with, Jaylen Brown comments about him having the best season of his career this past season while they were bounced out of the playoffs by the Sixers, and obviously also having Jayson Tatum out for most of the season. Was there like an issue that was now brewing between JT and JB in Boston, and they figured that they're going to side with Jayson Tatum and move with him? Whatever the reason was, I don't think this is the right move that the Celtics should have made, or at least I was expecting that they would be getting a way better return than what they got. They're still getting a Paul George, who is now on a 2-year remaining. He only got two more years remaining on his contract for more than, I think, a total of $110 million. The Celtics might be just looking at, Paul George being a better running mate for Jayson Tatum with the expiring contract coming up, and they were probably not willing to extend Jaylen Brown, who becomes extension eligible this offseason, I think by July 26th or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Sixers also do on that end, if they extend his contract while he still has 3 more years on this deal. But in terms of value for the players that they getting back, I believe at this point in time in their respective careers, Jaylen Brown is a better player than Paul George. Paul George is still a very serviceable player, but the main issue that he's been having in these past years was his durability. And now you're getting him on this Celtics roster, where if they're still aspiring for a championship, now this is a big question mark on your team, because you've traded a player who has been extremely reliable from the beginning of his career up until now for Paul George, who is no longer the guy that he used to be when he was in Indiana with the Clippers or even Oklahoma, and is more frequently injured now. So I get the idea of trying to get off the money that is owed to Jaylen Brown, but now this is questioning the overall aspirations of the Boston Celtics. Jayson Tatum is coming back from an Achilles injury. He looked pretty good in the time that he played when he came back in the last season and during the playoffs. Now you're putting a lot of pressure on him, and I'm expecting the Celtics to not be done in this offseason. They just got Mitchell Robinson in free agency, and I'm expecting them to, and also Mike Conley, and I'm expecting them to continue to add some pieces around Jayson Tatum, because there's no way that they're just punting the season or deciding to contend for a championship with Jayson Tatum and the roster that they have as it is currently constructed. Something has to be coming up in Boston, and we'll be here to see what they do. But oh my lord, I think the Celtics fans are probably super pissed off right now, and we'll see what Brad Stevens, who's a very good general manager, can come up with to appease the heat and the fury that the Boston Celtics fans are probably having right now in this trade. So besides the picks that they're getting back and the possible expiring contract in about a year, I don't really see a lot of value in this trade for the Boston Celtics. Paul George is still serviceable, like I said, still a good 3-point shooter, still a solid defender, but his durability is a big if. And with the roster as presently constructed, I can only see this as a push by the front office. I mean, not even the front office, but the ownership group, to get rid of his contract and literally just move off of him, which is still insane to me because, one, Jaylen Brown was drafted by the Boston Celtics and has been really performing for them, and really reliable as well. So for you to trade a 29, soon to be 30-year-old for a 36-year-old Paul George, who's not that durable and making about the same amount of money, I just don't understand it. But I'm also pretty intrigued by the fit of Jaylen Brown with the Philadelphia 76ers. I love the addition strictly because of the durability of Jaylen Brown. Well, not necessarily strictly, but one of the biggest reasons is I know for a fact that this guy is going to play more than 60, 70 games, possibly 82 throughout the season. He is a very good defender. Now you can have Jaylen Brown on the best wing of the opposing team and VJ Edgecombe as the primary defender on the guards. So that's a very good combo in terms of defense. And for bigger guards, you could even switch Jaylen Brown on those bigger guards. He's done it multiple times on Luka Doncic and on Steph Curry and all the guards in the league. He can defend the best players on the opposing team. And he's also transitioned to become a pretty decent shooter. And he's also a force in the paint with a pretty nice mid-range game. Adding that to Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid, I think is a very good addition for the Philadelphia 76ers, and a great move by Mike Gansey and Bob Myers, the new regime in town in the Philadelphia front office. I think they decided to swing big, and also they're getting rid of the Paul George contract, which was considered one of the worst contracts in the NBA at the moment. So I'm really loving this move for the Sixers in terms of the defensive versatility that it can bring to this team, but it's also adding a lot of pressure to Nick Nurse, because now you have VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, and Jaylen Brown on the floor possibly when Joel Embiid is hurt, because we all know what the issues are also with Embiid. But you have enough talent in your starting lineup to win some additional games when Joel is not playing. But I believe with this move, it's super important for the Sixers to go ahead and go into the luxury tax to fill out the rest of the roster and really, declare themselves as NBA champions, contenders, because I believe that's what they can be with these four players that they have now, this big four of VJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, and Tyrese Maxey. I believe they could win a championship if they're all healthy. But you need to now bolster your bench. I like the addition of Dean Wade as well in this free agency. But it's important that they're going to the tax to now help and better the end of the roster, because they got LeBron Fallon Jr. in the draft, who is a guard, but they still need to get some additional pieces because Quentin Grimes went to the Lakers, Kelly Oubre went to Indiana, so they're no longer on that end of the roster. They added Ariel Hukporti from the New York Knicks, who is a 7-foot center who can back up Joel Embiid, pretty athletic. I'm assuming a tandem with Adem Bona, who's already out here on this roster. But I'm expecting the Sixers to not be done with this offseason, and I'm hoping that they're gonna get into the tax, get some additional players, whether it's in a trade, because they still have the biannual exception, and part of their mid-level exception also is still available for them. So we'll see what other moves this new front office can put together to continue to improve this roster. And I'm truly excited now. This trade has brought some life back into the Sixers fan base, and we'll see how it goes. There's nothing guaranteed, but I think for now I could say that this is more exciting for the Sixers than it is for the Boston Celtics, up until they make their additional moves as well. But we'll see how it goes, and I'm truly excited. Like I said, we also have the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James is not coming back for the Lakers. And before I finish with the Lakers, I think this is a very important season for Nick Nurse also, to be able to get the best out of these players. Otherwise, I believe he might be gone. So Nick Nurse, get yourself together and make sure you are really performing in this upcoming season. In the Eastern Conference, that is just day after day becoming more and more competitive. The Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference side have moved on from LeBron James, who informed them that he's not coming back, and got Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz in a trade where they gave up 2 first-round picks, unprotected picks, 2031, 2033, and 2 pick swaps, 2 first-round pick swap as well, to the Utah Jazz, and then go ahead and sign Walker Kessler to a contract extension where he's going to be making in the north of $30 million, I believe, a year. Kessler is a solid big that can block shots and a lob threat as well. One of the kind of bigs that Luka likes to play around. But I just don't understand the overall vision of the Lakers right now, because with the cap space that they got from LeBron James leaving the team, they went ahead and signed Quentin Grimes. Sandro Mamukelashvili is the name that I was looking for. They went ahead and signed him to almost more than $50 million. Also got Quentin Grimes, Colin Sexton, a lot of guys. But the Lakers right now, to me, are still a playing team at best in the West, because they don't have any perimeter defense with Luka and Austin Reeves in the backcourt, and now you get in Quentin Grimes and Sandro that probably gonna start, or Grimes might be coming off the bench. But the problem here is I don't really see a lot of defense on that team, and that is gonna be a serious Achilles heel for the Lakers, that are now pretty much use most of the space and are even above the cap level now. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they round up the roster after letting LeBron and all these guys go. But we'll see how that pretty much unfolds on the Lakers end. LeBron James is still waiting to make his decision. He's evaluating all his options. And let me tell you something, LeBron James. Let me tell you something, my friend. You have been saying through Rich Paul, at least from what we heard, that the money is no longer an issue. You are even, I think I heard Shams once again saying that he's willing to play on a minimum contract. He is looking for the fit to be able to compete for another championship. LeBron, if you want to compete for another championship, your best destination, my friend, will be the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm biased because I'm a Sixers fan, but this will be your best chance to come and win another championship and be embraced by one of the best fan bases in the history of sports, and one of the best sports city in the world. Come to Philadelphia. You have Jaylen Brown now here. We've shown you that we can go ahead and make some important moves to show that we're gonna be competitive. You already have Tyrese Maxey, who is a clutch player also, so with the same agency as you. Joel Embiid is there. Yes, he got some issues with health, but you already know, you guys were in the Olympics together. You know the talent of Joel when he's healthy. You have an up-and-coming star in VJ Edgecombe that I know you also like, because I heard you talk about him throughout these past season. Come to the Philadelphia 76ers, where you could also watch the Philadelphia Eagles, another great team in Philadelphia that you can enjoy sports, whether you can enjoy basketball, football, and we have some great golf courses. Whether it's indoor or outdoor, you're gonna find your match here. And your legacy, you have no idea of what winning a championship in Philadelphia can bring to your legacy after so many years of drought from the Philadelphia 76ers in the NBA. So this is my plea to LeBron James. We'll welcome you with open arms. I will come pick you up at the airport or drive you from Los Angeles if needed. If you're willing to play on the minimum contract or just take the biennial exception that we have left, by all means, come to Philadelphia, LeBron James, and we will crown you the best player of all time, ahead of Michael Jordan forever and ever. But yeah, all jokes aside, LeBron James is still making a decision between probably Miami, Cleveland, Golden State Warriors, and who knows, possibly the Philadelphia 76ers. I'll be extremely happy and excited to get LeBron James in the Sixers uniform. So we're still waiting on his decision and where he's gonna go. The Toronto Raptors get Kawhi Leonard back in a trade where the Clippers get Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, first round pick swap, 2 first round picks and 2 second round picks that are going back to the Clippers. They on a rebuild mode over there. Kawhi was no longer fitting the timeline. He goes back to Toronto, where he's gonna strengthen that team over there as well with Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Colin Murray Boyles, and all the young guys that they have in Toronto. I believe this is a good fit for Kawhi. He used to play there. He's going back to a team and an organization that he knows pretty well. So we'll see. That's another team that could be really good in the East next year, and we'll kind of break up. You know, once all these moves are made, we'll have our expectations for each team throughout this off season. But I like the move also for both teams and the picks that the Clippers are getting back. But man, what an exciting time right now in the NBA, like I said, and all these moves that are happening. We already had Giannis and LaMelo Ball, like I've mentioned in some past videos. Santi Aldama is also going to the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Mavs will be quite interesting also this upcoming season. Teams are gearing up. Teams are making moves to be as competitive as possible. And I believe we're going to have some exciting games in both conferences, whether it's the East or the West next season. That's all I have for this episode of the program. Please continue to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share them within your community, comment. We'll be here to break some other news when they happen, and I'll see you guys at the next episode. Ciao.